This to my computer. Cool. All right, everyone. So today, what I want to do is I want to go over prompts, but structures of prompts. And the reason why I thought about this one is because last week I was training and I was giving away like these are some of my prompts, and I've done this on a Fortnightly Fix before, and I'll do another one soon of some of my favorite prompts and things like that. But I actually thought I'm missing a stage, and the stage was how can you create a certain type of prompt? Now, one of the things that I'm really glad my dad taught me was long division. Like, if you gave me a maths problem and you said, what is 45 times 762? As long as I've got a pen and paper, I can work it out. I don't need the internet. I don't need a calculator. My dad taught me long division and well, long multiplication, everything. I always said when I was a kid, I was like, why? I'm going to have a calculator. Why do we need to learn this? And he's like, you'll never walk around with a calculator all the time. See, he was wrong with that. Um, but it is a handy thing to have. And one of the things that I am, dare I say, pushing when it comes to AI is to humanize the whole thing. I'm a big fan of coming from the creativity sector background. I like to use AI to assist me rather than do the thinking for me. So when what I want to teach today is how you can structure prompts in a way that will give you the best results. A lot of it is about natural language, but it's so important to have a structure behind it. So I'm going to give you the structure that I use, or 7 steps or 7 points that I use, but I'm also going to give you some popular structures that other people are using as well. And if you have any structure that you use when it comes to prompting, let us know. So I am going to share my screen. Second. I'm going to share sound, share my screen. Voila. Voila. All right. So if you've never been here before, if this is your first time, I know there's a couple of people I've not seen before, and I think it's their first time, but I definitely saw you training. Can I recognize some of the names during the week? What this session is, it's an hour. It'd definitely be an hour. It'd definitely finish UK time 8 o'clock or before because my football team playing at 8. They're kicking off at 8, so it'll definitely finish before 8 o'clock today. But it's every fortnight. I will go through one topic, try and keep it as interactive as possible. I'll teach you something. Hopefully, it'll be something that's of value to you. Um, Over the weeks or yeah, months now, we've been doing it. I think we started September. We've gone through vibe coding, we've gone through tools, we've gone through like predictions, we've gone through some of my favorite prompts, we've gone through a whole bunch of stuff. And as long as I'm free to do it, I'll always commit to be every fortnight. So the next one will be in 2 weeks' time. The other thing as well is there's no sales pitch. It's not a webinar where halfway through I'm going to say, hey, I've got this and click here to buy because I actually have nothing to sell. I will push my WhatsApp group. I will push my podcast. I will push another podcast that I do on Thursdays. But a lot of you here are in that podcast anyway. So what I want to do now is just break down some clear structures of podcasting, of prompting. However, I do have a question for you first, and it's this. This picture here and this picture here. One of them is AI and one of them is real. What one do you think is real? Now, right in front of you is a poll. Is it this one is real? Oh, sorry, what is AI generated? This one or that one? What do you think? This is AI generated or this is AI generated? What one do you think? This is A or choice one, choice two, choice one, choice two. This is very close. This is very close. Choice one or choice two. So I'll go one more time because a few of it. So choice one or choice two. Okay, I'm going to stop it now. So if I click end the poll, and this is the answers. So you should have it right in front of you. So pretty much most of you said this one is AI generated. And it was close, 57% to 43%. And then you had that. The one that is AI generated is this one.
Mhm.
You didn't get it. The majority of us didn't get it right. Every time, every fortnightly fix now, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do a quiz. Is this AI generated or not? And eventually we're gonna get to the point where we will know. But because right now, this here is very, very common. And what I mean by that is whenever I'm doing workshops, I always say what one's AI generated. And it's usually about 50 or 60, 40. Uh, Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But what I get from that is, as a group, we don't know. And that's where we are when it comes to this world right now. I've been saying this for years. Well, at least a year. We're at the point where technology is caught up to our ideas. What we can think, we can create. And that there is something that I really want you to kind of like stay with you. Because where before, if I had an idea and I just knew I didn't have the money or the skill set or the time or whatever to get it done, now there is a very, very, very good possibility. It might not be perfect right now, but if you at least start the ball rolling, who knows what's going to happen in 6 months' time? So, Anita said, "Wow, Paul's like, you got it right. I was almost the mirrored elephant that gave it away." Yep, yeah, exactly. They were very, very similar. The only thing that gave it away for me was the white tusk. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the tusks. Yeah, if you look at it here, it looks a bit funny. But yeah, it's don't worry. Next time I'm gonna come up with another one. All right, so prompt structure. I've said this before. If you've heard me train or you've even listened to some of my podcasts, you probably have heard me say this before. But when it comes to prompting, I always compare it to martial arts. And martial arts, there's a belt system. You've got white belts and you've got black belts. A white belt, well, if it's karate, kung fu, jiu-jitsu, they're just starting. And then black belts is people that's been doing it for years, a lot of experience, and they're very, very good. I see prompting the same. Right now, if nobody has used generative AI and they're using it for the first time, they can put together a white belt prompt. If you have structure, if you've been doing it for a while, if you know what you're after, then you can go up the belt system and get black belt prompts. What you don't want to be doing is been using AI for a while and still on the white belt prompt level basic because someone who's never used it before is already on your level. So what we want to make sure is our prompts are better because if we're vague in, we get vague out. If we put amazing stuff in, we're going to get amazing stuff out. Whether you're creating text, music, audio, video, code, images, it's all about the prompt. But what starts the prompt is your imagination. So, what I want to show you now is a structure based on, well, a lot of it is based on people who I've worked with. So, I've probably trained about 3 to 4 thousand people already in AI over the last, since 2022. That's when I first started training in it. Well, what actually happened was I started training it. People got scared, so I stopped until February 2023. And I remember February 2023 because I was on stage in Birmingham, NEC. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And it was an event that happened, yeah, 3 years ago. And that's where I've been pretty much like full on since then. So structure is important. And this is how we move up the belt system. So I'm going to give you what I call my 7 point prompt recipe. So when it comes to prompting, these are seven things that you can include. Now, you can include it all in one prompt if you wanted to, but you want to include at least two or three in the prompts. Now, I will add this. If you are asking things like, how do I do this? Or where can I do this? Or what does this mean? Or I take a picture of something, I was like, where does this go? I don't mean for those. I mean, if you're trying to ask it for, well, to generate content, to analyze, to optimize, to reformat, to come up with ideas, or even to research as well. So these are the kind of the main ones. And if you have listened to podcasts or even seen me training, you might have heard me talk about the essential eight, which are the eight main things that you use AI for. So, what are these seven things to look at? I am going to go to Notion. Where's my Notion? There we go. Okay, so these are the seven things. I'll just zoom it in and I'm going to go into detail. One of them, I'll just quickly go through them and then I'll go through them in detail. One of them is have an ultimate goal. I've realized that if you can say what you ultimately want, it gives it some form of structure. It gives it some form of like idea as well. It's like, okay, this is what you ultimately want. Let's work towards that. Then you've got an outcome. An outcome might be something a bit more specific. And like I said, when I get into the detail, you'll see the difference. Context is key. If they say content is king, then context is queen. And if it's a game of chess, you know that the queen is arguably the most important piece. Context is really important in the world of digital anyway. So context really is going to be key to what your prompts are about or to get a better prompt. Then you've got role, i.e., how do you want it to act? Then you've got situation. Situation is the task itself, like all of the things that you want to do, certain situations, constraints, etc. Then you've got examples. Examples is can it be like this? Or here are 50 different types of prompts to look at to create the ultimate prompt. And then you've got a format. How do you want it delivered to you? If it's, let's say, for example, a blog post, do you want it to have a headline? What do you want on the first paragraph? Do you want some bullet points in there? Do you want headings? All of these type of things. So let's go into each of these in a bit more detail. So let me do it. Let me shrink it a bit. Okay, cool. So ultimate goal. This is the big picture. You know, as I said, this is really one of the key things that you want to start with. I always say to myself, all right, what do I ultimately want to achieve over a period of time? And this is the bit that connects the prompt to a wider business or a career or charity's aims or whatever it may be. So it might be, I want to generate £100,000 in revenue monthly from a new AI platform I built. That is usually the first thing to start with. I want to, my end goal is I want to send this proposal to this company and make them say yes. So that you give it like a purpose. So what is your ultimate goal? And again, that's just usually a sentence. So one of the key things just generally is you should be able to define what you ultimately want in one sentence. Keep it clear. Clear, not cute as well. Keep it clear. So that's what ultimate goal is. The next bit is your outcome. And I just want to separate the difference between the two because this is the specific result you want from this individual task or prompt. It should be concrete, measurable, and directly connected to moving you closer to the goal. So if the goal is 100,000 a month, your outcome might be, so the prompt might start like this. My ultimate goal is to make 100,000 a month from this platform. And then I go to my outcome. I am going to use social media and email marketing to do this. And I need to put together a strategy for those. So your outcome is always going to be connected to your ultimate goal. If this was a typical business plan, your ultimate goal might be your outcome might be your objectives, and your ultimate goal is your vision. What does tomorrow look like if today you achieve the outcome? So, outcome, for another example, create a LinkedIn post that generates interest and leads for an up and coming AI workshop. That, as I said, you want to have a bigger goal, but the outcome is it's a mini goal. Then you have context. To me, this is probably the most important one. Context and examples. This is all the background information that AI needs to understand the environment and make good decisions. The more relevant context you provide, the less the AI has to guess. AI is okay at guessing. It's getting better, but guessing can make you frustrated. That's the other thing. I get really, in fact, until I came on this live, I've been very angry with AI. I'm trying to get something to. I'm trying to sort out this brochure, and I've been using Manus and Canva and Gemini and ChatGPT, and none of them are working. So you don't even want to see my last lot of prompts, what I've been saying to it. So you want to try and avoid all of that, and if you can give it as much context as possible, better. Industry or sector, geography, where you are, the market, your budget or financial constraints. This is my brand voice. This is my tone guidelines. I need to do it in this framework or this deadline. I want to do it on this platform or this channel. This is my business model. Here's some data. Here's some resources available to me or not available to me. Legal or compliance consideration, length requirement. So an example would be, well, not really an example, they're kind of examples. So yeah, here's an example. The audience is UK-based marketing managers in mid-sized companies with a beginner AI knowledge, limited time, and pressure to improve productivity. This is context. So if you can give it as much context as possible, they, the platforms like it. So Root said, I'm getting ideas of how to get a result on a personal project I have been putting off for quite a bit. I believe that these prompts will help me get the results that I'm looking for. Keep us updated, Root. Keep us updated because, as I said, once you've got some structure, then you can fill in the detail. So sometimes if someone gives you a prompt, that's great, but it's great for them. And sometimes it's relevant for you. But if you understand structure, you can always add your context to it. So that's context. Uh, the next bit is role. You might have heard people say things like, I want you to act like a graphic designer with 25 years experience, or I want you to act like a video director that's been from an intern to now you're managing a production company. That's all of that type of things. I actually think if you start putting the years to it, like with 25 years experience and stuff, I don't think it adds much to the prompt, if I'm being honest. Because what if you say 25 years experience, then what happens? Does it change if you said 35 years experience or 50 years experience or a million years experience? Like it doesn't change the answer. What I think is a better one is to say, for example, I am a whatever role you want it to play. So I'm a professional person or I'm a business instructor, or I'm a yoga teacher, or whatever the expert is that you're trying to like connected to do with your outcome. And then just give it more of a this is what I've achieved. So I am I want you to act as a video director that's won a Cannes Film Festival advert of the year 4 times in a row. That mindset. Or, and this is what I often do, I want you to act like a business consultant that has consistently taken brands or individuals to 0 to £1 million a month. I want to achieve £10,000 a month. So what I'm doing is a lot easier. And then I'll go into it. So it's usually better if you kind of, rather than, because a lot of things that you might see online, let's say 25 years experience, it's best to kind of explain what they've achieved rather than just years of experience when you talk about the role. Um, so Teresa said, I find that giving it a role Uh, does help with narrowing down what the large. Yeah, I asked mine to be an expert in Photoshop when editing. Yeah, definitely the role. Definitely, Teresa. But I understand what you're saying. The role definitely. You. That's why it's here. But I just it's the next bit that I see people do. They put years down rather than saying you're an expert in Photoshop and you've managed to achieve this. I just find if you say you've managed to achieve this, i.e., you are, because I believe you do photography, you've had 50 photographs included in New York trade shows or whatever it may be. So something ideally something that it would know. And you've achieved this multiple times, or your Photoshop teacher that's taught, and then it might be individuals. So I'm a football instructor. I want you to act like a football instructor that showed Ronaldo and David Beckham how to take free kicks. So it's almost like an achievement rather than years. The situation. Now, when it comes to the situation, this is about the immediate scenario, constraints, or circumstances surrounding what you're after. So it gives the AI practical boundaries that shape how the response should work in the real world. For example, this content will promote a free 45-minute lunch and learn sessions taking place next month and will be posted on LinkedIn. This is also where you can say something like, it will not include X, Y, and Z. So this is more of the meat and bones, where context might say a bit more higher level. This is if you've got something very, very specific. This also might be the bit that if I'm putting together and I'm using all seven, situation might be one of the last ones that I'll consider to do. Because I think if the others have done right, you kind of cover the situation as well. But I just want to add that to it as well. Then you've got examples. Examples to me is one of the most important things. Just like if you're training or you're doing anything, if someone was explaining to me the down dog in yoga, um, I'll say, okay. And then if they then turn around and said, right, here's what it looks like, then I get a better idea. So if you're doing certain things, you want to give it examples. I train the model a lot. So if I'm using a large language model, I'm always training certain chats or certain projects. So I've got it trained on multiple things. So if I'm writing a proposal, I've got it trained on proposals I've done in the past. And I will say, this proposal converted, this one didn't. What about this one I should not use? But then I'll also add the examples of ones that work. So when I'm putting together a new one and I want it to help me, I say use these because they're good examples. If I'm putting together um if I'm putting together a headline, so on my large language model, let me go to here. So if I go to ChatGPT and I go to is it video hook ideas, this is trained. So it's given me, you'll see positive and negative ones. So anything I put into this chat when it eventually opens, you're going to see positive and negative hooks. So I was working with a team in Saudi Arabia yesterday, so that's why I've got all of this, you can see. So that's what I put in here, and it just gave me positive hooks and negative hooks. Now, what you've got here is the reason it's got positive and negative is because not only did I train it on positive and negative, I also uploaded loads of different examples. In fact, what I did for this one is there was loads of people that were they would put together lead magnets. So they'll say, right, if you want the 27 best hooks, give me your email address and I'll send it to you. So what I would do is I'll sign up to a whole bunch of them, get their PDF and upload it and say, these are the hooks. Use these as examples. And then that's how I trained it. So you want to give it examples, the prompts, if you can. Paul said, I usually give ChatGPT all the info that require in my prompt, telling it the AI app that I will be using it in and what it is I want to achieve. Yeah. Then ask it to write the prompt for me. It writes the prompt so uh, writes the prompt for me. It writes the prompt, then it asks me if I need any tweaks and gives me suggestions. Yep. Again, that's a really good structure to Paul. But ultimately, what the key thing, as you mentioned there, is I will be using it and what it is I want to achieve. Again, the goal or the outcomes as well. That's so important. Miriam's trying to get in. She keeps on coming in and out. All right. So that's examples. And the last one, pretty straightforward. The format. How do you want it to be? What type of, how do you want the output to look? What do you want the output to look like? If this was images, it'll be black and white or 3D or whatever it may be. If it's text, it might be write me a post, short paragraph, start with a question, include one practical insight or example, add some stats, end it with a call to action and a registration link. So it's the format you want as well. So what you've got here, if I go back to this PowerPoint, so what you've got now is, as I said, the 7-point prompt recipe. Goal is the destination. Outcome is the next steps that moves you towards it. Context is the world you operate in. Situation is what is happening right now. Role is who the AI becomes. Format is how the answers appear. And examples of what good looks like. So what you've got there, 7 points. I'm not saying that you have to use 7 in every single prompt. You might use 1 or 2. But ultimately, one of the things that I really would want you to know, and even in the future, if we've got tools that will turn around and you just type in anything random, well, I say in the future, you got them now. You type in anything random and then it creates the prompt for you. Or you do something what's called JSON prompts, which is more the way it's coded. If you can understand structure, it's going to help you so, so much in the long run. Because I actually think, even though you do use some of these tools, I actually think it's better if you just do it yourself. And I tell people about the tools, but generally speaking, I think it's better if you just do it yourself. So Lawrence said, just sometimes, do you ever find yourself writing a super detailed prompt and realize it's just quicker to do the tasks? Yeah. Yep. All the time. What I do, Lawrence, now is I actually try and make my prompts relatively short. I still include some of these, but I try and make it as short as possible. In fact, I'll show you. If I go to, I'll go back to Notion and I go to top prompts. So these are pretty much some of my most powerful prompts that I use. I try and keep it short, but it's short, but within that, it's a strong prompt. So that's what I tend to do. Where before I was like, try and make it as long as possible if you want to be like a black belt prompt. But sometimes you can make it really, really short and it's very, very powerful. As Bruce Lee once said, I'm not afraid of the person who knows 10,000 kicks and practiced them once. I'm afraid of the person who knows one kick and has practiced it 10,000 times. So it's just about mastering certain things. And the more you do it, even if it's short, you can really get a really strong black belt prompt. Now, I call this the 7-point prompt recipe, but for me, I literally just came up with this name just before this session. Yeah, it's not something where it's like I'm out there branding it and telling people like the essential 8 or things like that, or my what I call the content quadrant. This I just called it that, and I might just run with it. But these are kind of the 7 key things that I noticed when prompts are successful, not just from myself, but from thousands of other people that I've taught, and also just researching, seeing what other people's done. Pretty much most of the things here is what's covered. Now, what I will show you now are some of the ones that people are going out there branding. But they kind of cover this, but just not as many detail. GCSE. So the people from the UK will know what GCSE means. If you don't know, if you're from, say in America, it's your SATs. So in America, I think you've got your SATs. So you finish your school and then you go to go from school to college, you do your SATs, I think it is, SATs. In England, it's GCSEs. So it's easy to remember GCSEs, if you're from England especially, but this is what it basically stands for. G is the goal, which I was talking about. What response do you want from, and I've said it's got Copilot here, but it could be from any large language model. Context. Why do you need it and who is involved? So this is where you might say about I want you to act like this, but also I need this because source is which information sources or samples should Copilot use? This is more to do with examples and expectations. How should Copilot respond to the best to meet your expectations? This is where you can format. I want you to respond in this way. I want you to respond so it looks like whatever it may be. It looks like an infographic. That there just covers a lot of them. So rather than having 7 points, they've kind of put a few in together. So what I've actually done is I've tried to just separate all of them, and then it's up to you which ones you can kind of form together and build your own framework, something that you will use. And also, once you've got your framework, you can train the large language models to prompt in that framework. Another one is the COSTAR framework. COSTAR, because COSTAR is an acronym for context, as I've said before. Objectives, what do I want it to do? So this is like your outcome. Style, in what style should I write? Again, I want you to be like a scientist. I want you to be like a marketing director. Tone, how is the emotion and sentiment conveyed? This is more to do with context as well. I usually put that in context or situations. A is the audience. Who is it for? Very, very important one. Again, I usually put that towards context, but you can actually separate that for your own one. Or response. How should the model, how should the model's answer be structured, which is same as format. So this is another framework that I've seen people use that seems to be getting results. I will say there is another one called Clear, CLEAR. Some of you might have heard that one, but the reason I'm not going to say this one is because I've seen so many different answers for what Clear stands for, but it follows pretty much the same path. So if I went to Clear AI prompt framework, images. So here it stands for, well, it's not even that. Here it's got uh, challenges, limitations, effect, action, results. Here you've got, let's go to this one. So it's AI. Context, length, expectations, audience, refinements. Here you've got, so small, can't even see. Context, language, ethical use, ask for clarity, reflect and revise. So you can see a lot of people used to say to me, clear, clear, clear. And then when I started doing some research on it, it was all different. So that's why I don't really talk about that one that much. But it kind of covers the same what's in the CoStar and also the 7 prompts. Then you've got this one. Again, keeping it short. RTF. What's the role? You are an experienced project manager specializing in ERP implementation and management. Task. Your task is to identify potential risks in the ERP project aimed at integrating the company's various functions into a unified system, considering project delays, budget overruns, data security, and minimal disruption to ongoing operations. Format. Create a risk register with the project's potential risks in table format. That you can do that as well. The role, the task, the format. The only thing I would say here is you might want to do considerations as well. You might want to say, can you consider this? Or some of the constraints, I should say. This, I don't want you to include this. Can you not include that? Can you forget this it ever existed? Because sometimes the negative, I say negative, but yeah, the negative parts of the prompt can also help filter as well. Just like if you ever really studied search, you can have negative search terms. So don't include this, don't include that. And that can help you get a better search. So that there are pretty much the main things I want to talk about today when it comes to prompt structure. But the key is if you are going to prompt, it's important to know the structure behind it. It's important to know that I can put together a prompt, a basic prompt, and I'm going to get a basic answer. But if I can filter out certain things, And filtering has always been key to the internet, hence why Google became Google, because Google just looked at everything on the internet and just filtered certain things out based on what you type. This is the same when it comes to AI. The structuring of the prompt is filtering out all of the necessary or unnecessary stuff because these models know everything. And the more you can give it context, the more you can give it examples, the more you can give it a goal, what you're trying to achieve, the more you can say this is the type of output I want, the better your prompts are going to be. So, does that all make sense? If it does, just press 7. If not, press 8. Just want to make sure everyone's kind of with me. So, Lawrence said, are there any prompt frameworks for image or videos? Now, I I'm I actually was going to do the whole image one in this section as well, but I wouldn't finish in time. So that's why. So I'm going to do another one on images. The images one is slightly different. It's slightly different, but what I've noticed there are some similarities. So I will do another one on images. And the images ones, I want to show you examples because I'm going to build the examples of it and we'll do it live. So um I don't know if there's any frameworks. Again, just a Google search. You can do that or type it in the large language models. But I'm just going to I want to show you a whole bunch of images and then I want to show you some of the similarities what people are typing. Now, when it comes to videos, even though I do the video like show AI live, obviously that you know, I'm not the video person. I can't. I'm my videos are very, very, very basic. I think I've only ever showed one on the platform. Sorry, on the podcast. Chris has actually built. He built one, an interesting one today, because he's got access to C Dance, C Dance too. So he showed me one that he built today, which was I was quite shocked. And when I say shocked, I mean the fact that he could put his face in it and it looked exactly like him. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So he might do it. He might show it tomorrow. He might show it. Well, he won't show that one that he showed me, but he might. He said he's going to build one for tomorrow. So videos, I don't know if there's a structure, but I also don't think it'll be more include this, include that. I would say. When will you do the Gen AI workshop? As in, do you mean like a full workshop? So right now, just to let you know, sorry, let me just plug in my laptop before it dies. I mainly do corporate training. So I don't really train individuals unless it's part of a bigger thing. So this Monday, what's today? Wednesday. So Monday I was training for Amazon Prime, and it was TV producers. So if you were connected to do it's for the National Film and TV School and Amazon Prime, they've put together this like it's a big program. I've been doing it for about well October I started, and then I'm doing it. Well, I've just finished the January and February ones, and I'm doing it again in April. If you're part of TV production, so that's usually when I train individuals. Otherwise, I train corporates. So, for example, yesterday, the Saudi Arabia, I was with IMG. Tomorrow, I'm with the REC. Yeah, FIFA, all of those. It's like mainly that's what I do with corporates. But I that's why I kind of thought I wanted to do something like this where I can kind of go into it. Eventually, I probably will do something, but at the moment, not yet. Um, will the images include Midjourney versus Nano Banana? Yeah, I'll show it across. I'll show it across Nano Banana and ChatGPT. Not necessarily Midjourney, but I can use Midjourney as well. I use Midjourney for stylization. So uh that style, these styles. So yeah, basically these styles. That's what I use Midjourney for. If I wanted to do like a structured prompt like this, I use Nano Banana. Or uh, I'm gonna be honest, I think ChatGPT is a way better than Nano Banana when it comes to images. What I've seen for getting results for me. I think Nano Banana is going to make some changes soon. I think there'll be an update soon. But I think because of what happened with C Dance and the videos and how good they are, I think they're going to have a big focus on VO4 maybe or VO 3.5. I think that's what's gonna. I think they might have pushed Nano Banana back a bit, but we'll see. I don't know. But I'm a big fan of Midjourney. M8 dropping. Yeah, Midjourney 8 is dropping soon. Let's see what they do. Hopefully they do something. They do something good because I don't think Midjourney's made massive changes since Midjourney 4 to 5, or maybe 5 to 6. But the lot from 6 to 7, it wasn't that much of a change. They just improved certain things. It wasn't like a huge jump. That's what I found anyway. Any more questions? Anyone got any more questions on anything that I spoke about today, or just any questions in AI in general? What's going on? Anyone, just put in the chat, or feel free to just jump on the mic. More than happy to just give my opinion. What we've got, they have been having sound with their animations, no music though. Okay, so this is to do with Midjourney. They will be having sound with their animations. Yes, I hope Midjourney do something good, or they really focus on their community. I think they very much focused on their community. Teresa, have you got a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that they're asking everyone right now to go to Midjourney and rate because they're dropping J8 and they need
Okay,
some help. So if you
sure.
have time, you can go rank. And then David from MJ said that he they scrubbed their servers, so that's why it's taking some time, and
Ah,
that's why they need help ranking, and that MJ9 will drop right after. So if you can
uh,
help them out, that would be
that
great.
yeah, we'll definitely do that. I always usually just do the vote, especially when the video came out. I was doing a lot of the voting. Um, it's interesting that if they're gonna drop 8 and then they're gonna go for 9, I wonder how good 8 is then. Uh, if they're gonna drop something so quickly afterwards.
Maybe it's just a test.
Yeah, it could be just a test. Anita, where can US people access Sea Dance? Show you. Right now, the main one is Dreamina. So it's this one. And as you can see, and I'm logged in. Sea Dance should be Sea Dance 2. You need to have, because I'm not paying for this, but if you're paying for it, I think you can access it. This is what Chris has been using. And also Dreamina is CapCut. CapCut is TikTok or ByteDance, and Sea Dance is ByteDance. So it's natural that these guys are going to be first. I don't know whether or not. I think it will probably be available in America before it will be available in the UK or Europe. So it might be available there. I need tomorrow speak to Chris and find out how he's accessing it. If he's using a VPN or anything. Ah, good typography. I'm looking forward to that. Do you have any views on using a disclaimer on AI generated images to indicate that they were not created by an illustrator? This is the problem that I feel we're going to go into. If I All right, I'm going to give you an example. When did I do it? Did I do it in? I think I've done it. Uh, Let me go to ChatGPT and show you. I think I've done it in ChatGPT. Let me just see. So what you're going to find is if I upload a picture, there you go. So here is a picture of me on stage. Oh, and you can see I generated that with AI. Here's a picture of me on stage. Now, you'd think that was real, but it's AI generated. However, let me add to this. What actually happened was the original picture was me on stage speaking. I had a black top on and I was pointing to something. I actually then turned around and I said, "Can you put a red top on me and fold my arms?" Is this AI generated, this picture then? Or is it editing a real picture? And that's the issue. Because what you can find is that if I wanted to, I can literally turn around and say, Can you make this person be on a beach and wearing a red baseball cap? He is also wearing shorts. Now, the original picture, if I go to the original picture, is the original picture is there. That's the original picture. But with a few prompts, I could create that picture before and now here. So where's the line? Because I can also get an AI generated picture of me and it looks exactly real. You say, okay, that's AI generated. But I can take a real picture and then make some edits. But because it was edits, do I say that's AI? And that's where it becomes, you know, problematic, let's say. Yeah, Eric said CGI, VFX are never called out. You don't have to say I use CGI on this. So that's why it's a gray area. It's a gray area. And if it was text, let's say, for example, I wrote 90% of it and I just used AI on a couple of lines to tweak it. Is that AI generated? Or do you have to say edited with AI? And if that's the case, everyone will be editing. That will be added all of the time. So that's why I say it's a very gray line. Uh, Paul said, going back to image generation, I use ChatGPT for all my images. I use an AI video generation, but Gemini is much better if you want to create a profile image of yourself, as it gives exact likeness. I'm going to try. I'm going to start. I need to properly try AI more because, sorry, AI, Gemini more, because every time I've used Gemini compared to ChatGPT, I've always found ChatGPT does a better job. But then again, I've used it for come up with a design for this framework or come up for this and that. So I'll need to use it a bit more for images. When I just do a simple edit like what I've just done there, it's good at that. They're both as good as each other. I'll start trying that again. Sue, where do you see the biggest lack of AI knowledge right now across corporates? Uh, it's not. I always ask if whether it's especially if it's someone new, how often do you use AI? And you're seeing it go from never or tested to once a week and daily. They're the most popular ones now. But I think it's people, well, a few things. One, people just see AI as ChatGPT or Copilot. They don't see outside of that. Secondly, they're white belt prompting. So they're using AI, but it's white belt prompting and they're getting very basic answers. Third, they use it like Google. So they don't train the model. So I would say they're the three things that I've noticed that comes up quite a lot.
Thank you.
No worries. And yeah, yep. If you again tomorrow, if you guys are around 4 p.m. Oh, can I do it tomorrow? I might not be there. I need to work out where I'm gonna be because I've got to go to Norwich tomorrow. So if I can get to Norwich straight away, I'll be there. If not, I might be a bit later. But 4 p.m. tomorrow, we're going live, myself and Chris, we do the videos and we've got some amazing videos for tomorrow's session. Yes, because you created a new contact to the picture. So Ian, you think it is because you've created something new. But then if I use Photoshop, because I could do all of that in Photoshop, did you have to say it was Photoshop? So I could take that same image, go to remove.bg, which is remove the background, get that like the vector format, go to Canva, upload an image of a beach, put myself in that. That's not AI generated, but it's still manipulated. So that's what I mean. It's like where's the line? Because we didn't really have to call it out before. Will it even matter? Yeah, that's the other thing as well, Glenn. Will it even matter? I think eventually regulations will come and it might matter in the future. When regulations come, that's when the golden era ends. I really think that. How do we find the link to tomorrow's session? So if you go to Creativize LinkedIn, so Creativize LinkedIn is, or if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm going to post something tomorrow. Or Lawrence has put it in there as well. I should actually know this. I should have it at hand. But it's on Creativize LinkedIn. So this is the page. So you follow this page because this one here has access to everything. So if let me view it as a member, and then I go to posts, and pretty much every post there'll be a link live tomorrow or live today, or that was last week's, but that will still take you to the same thing. Live show. So these are the links. So it's on Creativize. So Ian said, I think you need to acknowledge that some manipulation has taken place. Again, Ian, people's never done that with Photoshop. So that's why I'm like, just because you've done it with AI, you have to state. But in Photoshop, which has been going on for years, decades, people didn't do that. And if that's the case, like, why would you do it for AI, but you won't do it for other things? Because it's just manipulation. And then it's a case of then saying, all right, well, if I used Canva and I just needed to just change the background, and then I changed the background from yellow to red, and it's just quicker to do it via AI, would I then have to state it was AI, even though I can easily do that in Photoshop? It's just, if I do it in AI, it's going to save me 20 minutes. So these are some of the things where it's trying to work out what is what. And that's what I think somebody will come up with some form of regulation around it. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So today was all about prompt structure. I am going to finish now because I'm going to go and get ready and watch the game. Hopefully my team wins tonight. Stay top of the league. And if you have any questions, follow me on LinkedIn. Most of you are following me on LinkedIn anyway. I'm pretty much connected with most of you on LinkedIn. So feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn if you have any questions. If you don't listen to the podcast, feel free to listen to the podcast. I do a podcast every day, 10 minutes a day in a nutshell, and talk about multiple things. Tomorrow session is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm talking about tomorrow, but it'll be interesting. Fridays is the news, and yeah, feel free to do that. If you're part of the WhatsApp group as well, WhatsApp is another thing. I do broadcast lists more than a group, and then I just post every day 4 news pieces that I think might be of interest to you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Teresa, Eric, Anita, some of the regulars here. Thank you, Lawrence. I like these questions at the end. Yeah, again, I'm more than happy to just do questions and stuff. Thanks, Paul. Great subject today. Yeah, I want to kind of really kind of focus on structures because I think it's really important that we kind of understand like that, and it's the mechanics of it all. I feel energized and excited to try those prompts. Yeah, go do it, Routine. Hopefully, you get those results. Let us know how it goes. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Elaine. Thanks, everyone. If I see you tomorrow, great. See you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about in 2 weeks' time. I usually decide kind of the few days before, but it might be the image one. I might just do a continuation and do it for the image one. That's kind of front of mind at the moment. So I might just do that. Brilliant. All right, guys. Have a good evening or day, wherever you are, time wise.
Thanks,
Okay.
Andrew. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.